Hi folks, hope you're doing well. My name is Marc Gallagher. I am a musician from England, and we're going to be doing another one of those nerdy gear shooty out pew pew videos, this time looking at jazz basses. So I'm going to assume that at some point you're going to see that I've got a video about my Fender made in Mexico jazz bass, which I love. This is a Jazz Bass Deluxe, which means it's active. So it's got, instead of the passive 2 volumes and a tone, this has got master volume, a pan knob between the 2 pickups, and an active EQ. Now, I love this bass. It's really, really nice. However, I have got the niggle in the back of my head that says, get an American one, and I've succumbed to it. I have decided that I'm going to do a trade-in deal where I'm going to swap this bass and pay a bit of money for a Fender American Ultra jazz bass in Cobra Blue. So it's in a very nice blue, which fits in my sort of branding and stuff. What's really nice is that in terms of the trying out and the transaction of this is that I get to play these two side by side and hopefully notice the improvement, and will hand this bass and some money over and get a very nice new bass. So that's the plan. But for the content, I wanted to do a little bit of something like just a farewell and also some sound samples that kind of directly compares this to my new bass, and hopefully you can also see the improvement. Or not, maybe I've just spent a load of money on a fancy colour, who knows. Things to bear in mind with the key differences of the basses. So this one has a rosewood fingerboard, the American one has a maple fingerboard. That is going to make a difference. So these pickups are whatever are the stock ones that came with the Mexican range back in 2000 and whenever, I don't know. The Ultra Jazz Bass, their pickups are going to be something like the Fender Ultra 2 Noiseless, I think, or something along them lines. Making sound samples is going to be a bit more difficult and tedious because unlike a P-Bass where I just go, right, it's got one pickup, here is that one sound, I've got 2 pickups here and I've got some other stuff to play with. So for purposes of this video and this comparison, we're going to have the volume on full for both basses. We are going to do samples in neck pickup only, in middle position, and in bridge pickup only. We're going to do like each excerpt, lick, line, what have you, and we're going to get those 3 core positions rather than the infinite blend in between. And that's a lot of samples to record and pass and make sense of, but yeah, we'll be fine. And lastly, we are not going to be using the EQ. We've got a little center point, so I'm not boosting or cutting any of my bass, middle, or treble on either of these basses. I think that makes a fair and consistent test. And then lastly, the point for myself is we're not going to be using my amp or pedals and letting those color the sound. Instead, we're just going to go direct. I'm going directly into my claret interface. I'm going into input 4. The gain knob is on 12 o'clock roughly. I'm going to play some things, both using my fingers. I'm going to do some slap bass. I'm going to use a pick. And then we're going to do that on this pickup, this middle position, that pickup, and we're going to see what the results are, and I'm going to give my thoughts later when future me has traded the basses and filmed the thing. And then bye, see you in a bit. Okay, so now that we've played and you've listened to it and I've listened to it, thoughts? This is really hard. Like, the P-bass one was much clearer in terms of, oh, okay, the Mexican has a hotter whine, so it's more output, but it's a bit woollier, whereas, like, you've got more clarity that comes from the American one. And that's not quite so cut and dry here. I think the main reason for it is because on the American one, the pickups are noiseless single coils, and noiseless single coils are basically humbuckers. They're just stacked. They work in a slightly different way, but they still have the same, like, treble reducing effect. Personally, whenever I've played, like, noiseless single coils on a Fender guitar, I've never really enjoyed that result. It sounds and feels like it loses a bit of top-end clarity, and I think that is also apparent in the American Jazz Bass. That being said, the loss of top end clarity can just be added in with the treble control on the bass itself, so I guess that's fair. But what that does mean is that the noiseless single coil has a similar quality to the Mexican one, in the sense of it's like a slightly hotter wind and a slightly less top end. That being said, I did find that the Mexican one was a bit warmer. The US one had much more like thump and poke, but honestly, I found it really like a close call. I'm also not too much a fan of the strings that are on it. Like the seller who I bought the bass off got some neon DR strings, and it's cool, they look the part. However, I didn't really enjoy how they felt, and I feel like they might have contributed to some of the disappointment I had in terms of the sound. When it came to the using of a plectrum, I think that the US one sounded better overall. I felt like there was a bit of a buzzy B quality to the Mexican one. So yeah, I'm glad that that kind of worked out. But when it came to the slap bass stuff, honestly, I found the Mexican one better. And I think that's because there's just a bit more zing to it because of the strings. I think that the blue coated neon strings on the American bass let it down in terms of the slap bass stuff. So that's going to be my next goal here, is to do a restring using normal bass guitar strings for the American one, and hopefully that will give a slightly more level playing field. That being said, while both of these instruments are Fender active jazz basses, they are still different, and that's kind of the point. They've still got different things going for them in terms of where they're made, quality of parts, the pickups, things of that ilk. So I do think it's important to acknowledge and embrace those differences, and we're not going to cover every single variable. Overall, in my opinion, the American jazz bass is better, but only slightly. It's really, really close, and hopefully once I restring it to something a bit more normal, I'll get a bit more zing, and hopefully that will unlock an extra something in terms of the tone, especially compared to the Mexican one. But was it worth it? I think so. Like the niggle has now been quelled. I now have a USA made jazz bass that is top of its range, and it's in a finish that is very me, and I never need to buy another jazz bass again. So I like to think that it was worth it, but I didn't need to do it because my Mexican one really did the job really well. And that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you thought of the sound differences or lack thereof in the comments below. My name is Marc Gallagher. You can follow me on your favorite social media at Marc Gallagher Music, and you can support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Marc Gallagher Music. Until then, my name is Marc Gallagher. Like the video if you want, share if you feel compelled to, and follow me on places. I'll catch you down the road.